on pause. There we go. So I'll just explain it since I had it paused. We're working this, just the waist, getting the waist going. And here we're emphasizing this part, right? You're dropping, 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 dropping. And then here we're doing kind of the same idea, but now instead of just drop, 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 we're adding the pushing into the ground. So it's the opposite of kind of whatever our move is, right? So like if I'm here, I don't go here, right? I push into the ground, and that picks me over here. Same thing here. You don't really necessarily go here. You push into the ground. Kind of it's a figure eight. So you're actually pushing into the heel, then the ball of the foot. Same thing here to the heel, then kind of the ball of the foot, and the heel over here. So it's going like this. Right? So think of it as a gondola almost. A gondola, but there's a turn to it. So it's not just, right? It's a turn. And you're pushing back this way, right? The gondola, you push this way. And now you're pushing back that way, like the back of you. This is kind of slower, kind of Tai Chi stuff, really. But you really do use it in all your advanced boxing, or I'm sure any kickboxing or anything, just those little, it's in all the arts. It's not just in Tai Chi. Tai Chi just emphasizes it, but it's in all, I think it's in all the arts pretty much. At least all the stand-up ones, but I think probably more than that too. I'm sure even the grappling has all the Tai Chi type stuff. I just don't know it. I just don't know how to do it grappling. I know like two moves, a couple moves. So yeah, shift. Now we can shorten that up, and actually let's finish about another minute or two of that. Now remember, what's really doing the work is the leg. Push it into the ground, at least 2 or 3 feet into the ground. You gotta have your mind in the ground to do it. You can even do it like this, where you push, it kind of let your foot glide in the ground. You don't have to. You can just do this, or you can kind of let like you're ice skating, right? Make sure to keep that thing where you're hanging from a string, and let the shoulders drop, drop, drop. Just like when you walk, one side's lower, and one side's always dropping, and one hip's always dropping. Same thing here. You're just dropping this hip. Basically, the side that where the hinge is, you've dropped that hip, right? So that hip is dropped. You're sitting down here, pushing with this leg, but you drop with this hip. Actually, hold on. Try this for a second too. This is just a Tai Chi thing too, but I think it helps. Just for you, all you're doing is dropping this hip, like when you walk. Now you drop one hip. One hip's always, especially if you're trying to walk real cool, right? But no, you're dropping one hip, right? No, exaggerating, dropping one hip. So it's kind of that. You're just kind of. It looks like you're going here, but it's really just a hip. So your hands going like that around your knee, but it's not necessarily this. It's this. So you're dropping here. The same place I was talking about, like when you do this hip, how it drops. Just doing that. You want to, one side drops, but it's that whole side of the spine drops, just like when you walk, one side drops, right? You're exaggerating, right? Like it dips. You're just doing that. Right. Now that really works into boxing, because boxing, you got, like it's not necessarily all here, right? You got this, right? This thing where you're dropping the hips. So it really works for that type of stuff. And you'll feel it in the legs. You do this, it's like you empty all, it's like an avalanche. Someone hits you here, and you just let it go, avalanche. You take it into the leg. Then this side, right? So here you're just gonna do this. We're just gonna go back to what we were doing, but let it dip. Let it dip, right? And let's add, let's do 3 minutes of that. Hold on, I got a clock. All right. And time. So once again, we're doing a figure 8 thing here. We're emphasizing a drop. Kind of like when you do this. You know, you don't have to do this every time, but just remember this. This thing, where you're scooping. It's kind of like that, but you just do it with your hip. You don't have to do it every single time, but just, well, you want to do it, but I mean, you don't have to exaggerate it every time, just whenever you want. Remember, the hip drops, so everything drops on that side. You're gonna rock back and forth a little bit, because this is really tight, keeping everything here. Boxing, you go ahead and dip a little bit more. Doesn't have to be quite so perfect, boxing. I just like to use that as a start point because you have good leverage from there and everything. Yeah, drop the hips. When all this drops, it should all go right to the leg, to the bottom of the foot like a spring, and then you come back here. There's a lot you can do with it. We're just going through, right? Here, then winding up and unwinding, wind up, unwind, wind up. But there's, you can use here, here, here. There's a lot you can actually think of that too. Do it mostly with the hips, but like you want to make sure you get that whole circle in the hips when you do this. So don't cut it short. Get that whole slow. I guess you ever play tennis?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. But one of the people I trained boxing had, and when I told him that he had the perfect uppercuts, just said to hit it like a tennis ball, because I noticed they have this figure 8 thing perfect where they do this, right? They got this perfect. So on this side, you can do a real nice sneaky upper. So not so much here. It's the same move as this, same circle, but just do it here. It's almost like you're trying to hit him with the hip. Boom. The hip hits, but this is just barely behind it. There's not that much of a delay, but just a little bit. Right, so you're chopping with the hip. Let's get back to that, but I'm gonna try to put this step into it that we've been working. We can actually, yeah, let's just do that. We'll go into just the jab step. We'll do that on both sides and then work this other one into it with the pivots and stuff. So yeah, just jab step from your strong side and time. So we'll just go back to that. Remember, put this in there every time. You don't necessarily need to do this, but you can. And hanging from a string all the way to here, and then the foot, you're winding up. Same step as we usually do. This one, but we're going slower. Right? It just is. I should do this. Maybe I should get rid of this rug. Try barefoot. That'll work. Remember to keep a little more gravity here. So you don't want to do this and keep anything here. It just goes there for a second. You want to drop. Yeah, so it drops before it comes out. You don't really have to lean at all. It's just you've already brought your leg with you.
Wasn't I trying to do it slow? I couldn't really do that slow. I was kind of going.
Right. I hear you.
If I go faster, I can do that.
Right. I hear you.
If I do it slow, I can't quite keep all my weight back there and not put any weight here. I was trying to do a weight shift.
I hear you. On this one, the weight shift is this.
Yeah.
So you can take like a big step or small. You have a lot of work right here. Just pushing from here. Right. That's why, like the last few weeks, for a few weeks, we work this, bring the back leg, but then since you're still back there, you can.
Yeah.
Pivot. It's another way to work the back leg. You can go super explosive and everything, which we've been doing a lot of that. But here, I kind of want to go back to the same thing, but just slow. One of the main difference is really this, right? That instead of going, it's about time, is the way we're doing it for a lot, or the way I usually show it, because it's simpler to learn and it's one you would use first anyway, is the stick jab.
Yeah.
Well, there's some weight here, but you can't have all your weight here. It just doesn't work, right? You don't want to have too much weight in the front either, of course. You still want most of it back here if possible, or 50 or something like that. But yeah, this other one's different because you still, it's not 100% or nothing, but this other one's different because instead of going here, the timing is here.
Yeah.
It's almost the same time. It's a small difference. It's just the delay, because here the foot still goes first, the front foot, and then here. Whereas the other way, it's here. This back leg goes, and then you grab. So anyways, let's go. Same thing. Other side. So if you're doing a southpaw, go right. I'm gonna go southpaw. So on the weak side, same thing. Jab. Jab step. So yeah, same deal. Remember, it all is this thing. You hang from a string, and it always drops. You can throw it, but you let everything go. Right. By the time this is impacting and you're grabbing here, you let everything go. So it all goes, all your attention, all the gravity goes straight back into your foot, and the legs working. And you don't have to punch every time either. You can just work the step, and then whenever you want, kind of just grab. And when you do this here, that's part of the, so that you're not holding anything. It's kind of, it creates a, a triangle. Someone else is punching, but you want to punch over them or under them, but you get there and they don't. When your arms are doing this kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, you want to, that helps that part too. Just that drop there. But you're relaxing the shoulder, heavy elbow, strong wrist, all at the same time. Of course, as you're doing that, you're already letting it go and then going back to the legs as well. It's real comfortable, instead of going here to go put this in there. Nice thing about slow is you can get into your subconscious and go over the little things a little easier, right? So focus on, whatever you think your weakness is, and focus on that when you're going slow. It's like we all have holes in our defense. Everybody. It's just a matter of who's being able to take advantage of the other person's windows better than they can take advantage of yours, When you're going slow, that's a real good place to connect it all together. And kind of cover up the windows. Okay, so what I wanted to work was, well, two things. The thing we were working earlier with the figure eights and the waist. So let's put those into this other exercise and a move we already know that we've been working on, which is, but just a slightly different emphasis, which is this, bring it back, bring the back leg, the step we just did, then the pivots. But want to emphasize the waist, so you're bring it, do those turns, but really emphasize the waist turn. It can be a small step with a big waist turn, or a bigger step with a big waist turn. But really emphasize this. But you're still on the back leg pretty much. You can shift a little here, but it's still got a lot here. You're not doing this. Still got a lot of weight here. And this foot doesn't usually have to come up either on the ball of the foot. It's just kind of a, let me see what kind of doing. Oh, you can't see my feet. There. Kind of doing, right, so you're bringing the foot, right, so sitting down here, you're not up, right, sitting down. Anyways, so you're bringing it here, and then you're doing this, but to move that, instead of balancing and having to do this, you're on your back leg and you're just using your waist like a steering wheel, right? You're turning what we were doing earlier.
Yeah.
And see here, I'm not really, well, I shouldn't be. I should be here. I'm not really turning over here. You can if you want a little bit, just to pivot the foot out a little. But it's there. All right. And time. So same thing, nice and slow. Make sure you drop, turn on the waist. Make sure your back foot's comfortable. If you have to turn it, that's fine. Make sure you're not ever taking this, like, the relationship with the knee and the foot and all that stuff doesn't change. So take your time. Go slow, but as you turn your waist, you can turn your bottom foot a little too. However you need, whatever's comfortable. Bring the back foot with you. Use your weights. And drop a little on both sides too. When you do this, make sure you drop a little. When you do this, make sure you drop a little. Remember, you don't have to do much of a step, but the step can be really small. It's all just stepping enough to get to move out of the way of your waist. So it's easier. Or drop the shoulders at the end of every move. Drop, 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 drop. Let it all. Okay, then we're gonna go the same thing on the other side. Make sure to emphasize that. Drop, 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 drop. You don't have to see it, but you just wanna feel this, just like that. So it's always okay to just stop, just like they do in fights. Back up a little and just drop. Feel that. Sometimes it's nice to even have your hands here. You have to do it all the time, but if your hands are right here, but you still feel this. You don't even emphasize the punch, just so you can go like. Just kind of take your time on each drop. You can stay there a second. You know? Because remember that drop, the reason sometimes you want to take it a little longer or make it turn a little more is because sometimes that's where you have them where they think they got you. But when you drop, if you do a little drop, they might be able to recover. But if you drop them, they'll, and then you got them there. You got them. You know, like they're hitting you in the body or something, and you just let that part of your body just drop. Actually, that's gonna be next what we work. For now, mostly the turn, not drop. I'm sorry, we're supposed to be doing this side. Wait, are we on the right-handed side or left-handed? We're doing the right-handed side, right?
We're doing a reverse stance.
Oh, okay, okay. That feels comfortable. You can really connect it all when you really drop it. Emphasize that drop it. It's funny, it's real subtle, but it makes a big difference, you know. So let's go back to what we were doing with the figure 8 and actually just put in the same step we were just doing really, but emphasize, but like this. So what we were just doing here with the waist, the same thing. You drop, drop, drop. Only we're gonna be doing this though. Drop, drop. You don't have to do it every time, but we're creating this circle here in the hip. It's a small circle, but a small circle in the hip equals a big circle out here, right? Here. Just like when we're doing this. But actually, you know, let's do it without the step first. Just bring the back leg, get a stance where you're comfortable, and then, well, I wonder if I should bring the back leg into it actually. Yeah, that kind of makes a big difference. So bring the back leg set just like we have been. Bring the back leg, and then from there you can launch into figure 8s. And then same thing. Bring the back leg, figure 8s. Go over the top anytime you want to, but mostly figure 8s. So it's the hips doing this, and everything else follows. Remember, it's like you're dropping this side, drop this side. Like when we do these things. Or, you know, these. You're doing that with a hip, just a lot more subtle. That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Make sure to emphasize, like someone's pushing you over, and not every time, but like you're pushing over, and it drops. Right.
Yep.
And bam, now pushing over here, and it drops, comes back around. The arms don't have to do that, they can. Make sure the hips are doing it. All right, but we'll go a little bigger though, and then shorten it as we go. And time. Slow down, bring the back leg first, just a little, and then drop, drop, drop. Just getting this as smooth as possible. This figure 8, doesn't matter how big or small or whatever, just get real comfortable with it, real comfortable. There's a little bend in these because whenever you do body shots or uppercuts, you always, you know, you're bending first. So yeah, you're, as opposed to just going here, right? There's a little, the varying degrees, whatever, depending on what works for you, you know. I would just suggest doing a big circle and then just break it down to whatever, however small you want, which is comfortable. The big circle is just to make it real clear is where you're going. I messed up. Okay. You feel that in the legs? Cool. Because yeah, that's the whole thing. If you feel everything kind of, it's like you're emptying. It's like kind of like when you do those warm ups, Tai Chi warm ups, where you're just emptying everything. So the same thing here. It's just like you're hitting it there. We're just emptying everything into the legs. And it springs and comes back. But there's a little bend too. So the same thing. Other side. Well, weekend side. And it's hot. Of course, there's different ways you can be thinking of your defense here too. You know, it can be slipping, or it can be they're hitting on the sides and you turn you, or it can be they're hitting to your center and you're doing this. All right, this side. All depends. Right. I mean, there's just a lot of ways to adapt this move to what they're doing. Right. The main thing is to focus on the defensive ones, but the offense, of course, you want that too, right? Nice thing about that one is you can also use it sometimes when you just get hit, when it's too late and you get hit, you know, as you get hit, instead of being up here, you take to the ground. You can catch yourself, or sometimes hopefully take away some of the power from their blow, you know, if you can. But if nothing else, at least get your balance back and you hit back. Right. So let's I want to try to mix that. Probably start with it kind of slow though to do this. Is I wanted to mix that figure 8 thing, you know, with let me see myself so I can see what I'm showing you. So yeah, let me move this back a little. Yeah. So back to this kind of stuff where you're going here. Oh, you know what? I got a better idea actually. Since we already worked that first step a lot, let's do the backwards one, the 3-step, right? So as opposed to here, let's work our 3-step, which is just, you know, like if you're going to do this, like here, step, right? So only we're not doing the hook. We're doing the hook step, but once we get there, so I gotta adjust this rug here. Do that here, but once you're here, kind of go more into this type thing. Or actually, think of it as this better yet. Think of it as back into the figure 8. Give it a little pivot if you want, but you don't have to. Right, I put that in a little later, maybe in the round, but it's here, figure 8. Because it's hard not to pivot a little, but just make the figure 8 more your, and the dips, dropping the shoulders, more of your emphasis than pivoting. Because the pivoting should already be there from as many times we work that repetitively over anyway.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that. Just bring the back leg. Main thing is to have it wound up. Not necessarily from here, which you can do, but it's from here it's wound up. Just like it's better to have this wound up from here because you're already, well, there's a lot of reasons. Get more power. All right. Little snap. Sorry, it's a dip when you do it. Dip. Sometimes you can come in slipping too. You can do like slip, slip, slip. And come back with the punches, right? Slip in, punch out. But with more figure 8. So it's doing it all here. All right, so it's just figure 8 thing with the body. The punches just kind of roll off. But yeah, from the front leg, of course. In other words, that's what power is. In other words, it's not push is what starts the whole figure 8. You don't have to do it every time, but. And then if you let it pivot however it wants to go, you have a lot of options too. Just whatever feels comfortable. Like just a little angle like that'll work. Or you can do that type of thing. long as you're still emphasizing the figure 8. Drop, 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 drop. Main thing is you want to feel that drop here. You want to feel it. And when it goes through here, it engages that part of the leg, right? So you're engaging like this part, that part, this part, this part. Now the back part as you push. Now you're engaging this part, and the hamstring as you push. I'm exaggerating, right? It's more here. But if it was big, it would look like this, right? Big and exaggerated. But here it's a little more subtle. We're just doing it with mostly here. All right, to take an angle, do a few and take an angle too. Figure 8, figure 8, figure 8. Same side, same thing, other side. What time we got? Oh, we got plenty of time. Cool. All right, other side. Same thing off of this leg. Remember that whole figure 8 in the legs. And that drop in the hip every time. Well, I finally found a timing on the last punch. Well, let's emphasize. Let's go and put that together with what we did earlier and kind of freestyle it. So I have a little more time to freestyle than the last time. We can, because usually at times I have to freestyle, it's already trying to cool down. So we have, time we have. Yeah, we got about two rounds in. So let's go one round freestyle. You can start off the front or the back leg. Yeah, just freestyle, just working on everything we worked, put what we were doing together. Main emphasis, that drop of the figure 8.
Stay slow motion, stay slow.
No, that's up to you. I would start slow and then speed up as you like, whatever's comfortable. You know. So main is the figure 8, whether it's off the back leg or front leg, and dropping. You're either slipping and dropping for a body shot because you're catching them here, right? Because their arm is just extended here, over you. Here. It's the same circle here, or you're dropping here because they're reaching for your body, so you're dropping, so they have to reach for it, and then you can do direct or that little circle, right? Direct with a little circle, that little circle. Right. So you're drop. Just put the punch wherever you want. The main thing is to drop, or drop. Can be either side, either. It doesn't matter. This figure 8 is another way to mix all the moves together. You know, all martial arts pretty much mix together with a figure 8, right? Like punch it, kick should work real well off of this, right? The same kind of turn, right? You got the.
Is the round going?
Figure 8 can still be here too, right? Right, well, here, or something like that, yeah. Kind of going with what we did last week too, in a way. You know, that involves that dip. It's just there, you're going all the way under, which you can always do too. Whenever you dip here, right, you can always dip here. Instead of dipping coming up at this hip, you can always dip for the other hip, right? That's just not what we're emphasizing, but you can do that at any time, especially off of this. Right?
Is the round going?
No, I'm just saying you can do that whenever you want. You don't have to.
No, I know. I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if the round was going. I'm just sitting, watching.
Oh, right.
Good.
Oh, the round, right? It's just time. So same basic thing, but this time we'll slow it down, start cooling down.
I didn't do that round. I just watched you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay. I wasn't sure if the round had started.
Cool. Sorry, I had the windows the other way, so I didn't see.
Yeah.
All right, time.
Okay.
Probably the 2-minute round, though, I think. Yeah. Drop. And then mainly from here too. Like this, if this drops at all, if this drops, it doesn't all drop. If this drops, everything drops. Here we're going slow. Really remember this part. Just gonna let the shoulders go. Let the shoulders go so it all goes to the hip. And you can move from here. I'm not sure what time the clock's gonna cut off, so I'll catch you next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Because
I
next
can
Friday.
say 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. That's right. That's right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thanks you too. Yeah,
Definitely,
thanks.
definitely.
It's great. I like this figure eight. It's really cool.
Yeah, we never really celebrate the holiday. We just
Yeah, yeah. Nice to
always
take a
enjoy.
little time off though.